Hello and welcome back to the Summer Day Studios YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can make a camera lens shader where it's kind of iridescent, think blue, purple and green depending on which angle you look at it from, like this. It's really quite simple, but one caveat to this, if I just pause this render and then hide this material, is a lot of the appearance of a camera lens is actually down to how it's built. So camera lenses, contrary to what you might believe, are not just a simple, single piece of glass at the front. They're actually multiple bits of different shaped glass that focus light down to a single point, which eventually then come and hit the sensor. So a lot of what's going to make a camera lens look correct is going to be this lens shape like this. You can see we have this kind of like interlocking, narrowing various different series of glass pieces which kind of create this circular tunnel-like effect. And then this kind of iridescent look over the top is just a little extra piece, like I think it's a coating that they apply to camera lenses. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how to create that coating, not necessarily how to create the lens. This will still work on any material. Like if I go ahead and create a plane, then render that, you can see it does still have that iridescent effect, so this will still work. But if you're looking to create a realistic camera lens, as in a DSLR camera like this, then the model actually has a lot to do with it as well. But with that said, let's get into how to create this iridescent camera lens effect. Okay, so let's select the part of the model we want to apply this material to, and I'm going to hold down right click, assign a new material, and I'm going to select the open PBR surface. And then let's just go ahead and rename this camera lens matte. Okay, so we don't lose that. And under presets, I'm going to go ahead and just select glass. All this is going to do is it's going to set the index of the refraction for us so that the light bounces off correctly as you would expect for glass, the roughness, and it's also going to set the transmission all the way up to 1. So if I go ahead and render this now, we'll give that a second to update. You can see we've got some nice clear glass, but we don't have any of that iridescence. So let's go ahead and create that. I am going to go ahead and open up the Hypershade editor, and I've got my material here. If you don't see it immediately in this graph, just select it from up here. You'll be able to tell which one it is based on the name we gave it earlier, and then just press this button to graph it. And we really don't need too many nodes to achieve this effect. So to begin with, I'm going to go ahead and just create a ramp texture, or an AI ramp, actually an AI ramp RGB. I'm going to set the type from V to custom. That being because we want to do a custom input on this. We're not interested in any of these other types of gradients, whether that's diagonal, radial, circular, or anything like that. We want it to be purely custom. And then in order to have this work like a iridescent effect on top, we're going to take the out color and plug that into the specular color. Okay, so the specular color is kind of like if you imagine those white highlights that you see on the glass itself. If I go ahead and render that now, it's not actually going to have any difference, but the specular color is this kind of whitish color here, right, that we're getting from the lights. If we were to change that to blue, then that would look blue instead. But we're going to use a gradient for this instead. So let me just go ahead and pause that render. And there's a few things here that we want to change on the gradient itself. Currently, it's just black to white, as you can see. We're going to click this arrow to bring up the whole bar so we can do this in a little bit more detail. And because we want this to be green, blue, and purple, right, like a camera lens would be with that coating, we're going to add an extra point in the middle to act as our third color. But to begin with, I'm just going to set this one to a brightish green, something like this. Okay, and then this one over here can be our blue. But I'm going to go for quite a deep blue, something like this maybe. Maybe make that a little bit darker. But we want our purple, so I'm just going to click anywhere in the middle of this. That's going to add this extra point that we can drag around here, okay? And this is the one that I'm going to change to purple. So we'll start with pink, and then we'll come to something like this in the middle. And that's perfect. That's pretty much set up as we need it. One other thing I like to do is change this from linear under interpolation to smooth. All that's going to do is it's just going to smooth these gradients out, these transitions a little better. It's not the end of the world if you don't do that. Just make sure you don't have it set to none or something like that. Because if you do that, you're going to see that your colors are going to get messed up and you might just have blocks like this, which is not what we want at all. We want this to be nice and smooth transitions. Okay, now that that is set up, we have one more thing to do. If I come back to our scene and go ahead and render that, you can see all that we're getting at the moment is green, okay? No matter which angle I look at this lens from, we're getting green. And it is working, as I said earlier. You can see that the specular now has gone from white to a greenish color, a green tint on the lens, which looks cool, but it's not giving us that iridescent effect, you know, where you look at something from a different angle, kind of like an oil slick or a bubble, where it almost seems to shimmer and change color. So in order to do that, we're going to use a node called a facing ratio. So I'm going to press tab, and I'm just going to type in facing, AI facing ratio, okay? And I'm going to plug the out value of that into the input. Now there's a few settings we can change here. The bias I'm going to adjust down to 0.3. That setting seems to work pretty well for me. And I'm going to come back and render now. And we'll just give that a second to update. And you can see now, depending on which angle we look at this from, it changes color. So if we look from this far angle here, the lens looks green. We're getting a bit of purple here. But if we look from straight on, we're getting more purple and blue up the top. A bit more green from that angle. If we look, you know, just from kind of this angle here, we're getting way more purple. And we can adjust this as well if we want. If we were to change the bias here from 0.3, maybe down to something like 0.1, you can see we're getting a lot more of the green in there, regardless of which angle we look at it from. If I was to increase this, we'll probably start getting more of the blue, regardless of which angle we see it from, more of the purple from this angle, a bit less of the green, just a little bit there. So you can see by adjusting the bias, it's kind of telling Arnold here how much of what color in the gradient we created earlier we want to see, depending on our camera angle. Now, essentially, to explain the facing ratio node in as simpler terms as possible, it essentially just tells Arnold to adjust the properties of something, in this case, the specular color that we're driving with our gradient, to adjust it based on which way we're facing, which way we're looking at it, right? And you can see that as we adjust this camera angle here on the fly. It really is kind of as simple as that. It's a very powerful node. And there's all kinds of extra uses that we can get into another time. If you wanted to go back and adjust the colors of this, literally all you would do, come back, select your ramp, your gradient here, and then you could just say, you know, maybe you don't want so much green, you want more purple. So you could just drag this down here and you're going to get a lot less of the green, just kind of more around the fringes. Maybe you want a lot more blue, so we'll drag that in here and way less purple. You want them to be more like crushed like this. But if you want to be even, keep it something like this. And yeah, so that's how you create an iridescent camera lens type effect. Again, a lot of it will be to do with the geometry, but just for something simple from a distance as well, this can look quite nice, just so it doesn't look quite as like plain glass. Looks like it has that kind of iridescent camera lens coating quality to it. I hope this has been helpful. If you've got any questions at all, please do let me know in the comments below. Any suggestions as well, I always love to hear those. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.